I'm really excited for this new beginning and to build something from the ground up here with the Valkyries.
Amid the first WNBA expansion in almost 2 decades, the Golden State Valkyries emerge ready to shake things up. Kate Martin returns to the courts, now wearing the new franchise's jersey, carrying sky-high expectations.
Yeah, honestly, my focus has just been getting better. I mean, all around. I had a decent rookie season, but I just know something that's really cool about me is that my ceiling is very high. So
Meanwhile, current MVP Aja Wilson feels growing pressure, watching rivals and rookies arm themselves to the teeth. And if Caitlin Clark is already emerging as the next big star, brace yourself, because the upcoming season promises a true revolution on the court. Picture the scene. After so many years without a major movement of this kind, the WNBA is finally going through a significant expansion. The last time something like this happened was almost 2 decades ago, and now the Golden State Valkyries enters the scene with all pomp and circumstance.
I have a lot of room to grow. Always working on my shot, always working on being quicker, but
Behind the scenes, analysts, players, and fans were restless, trying to guess who would be the names chosen in the expansion draft. Among corridor whispers, leaked information, and risky assumptions, one name starts to catch everyone's attention. Kate Martin. Officially selected by the Valkyrie, she arrives as a key piece to alter the balance of power in the league. And given this scenario, it's inevitable to reflect, how will these changes affect the already established big stars, like current MVP Aja Wilson? She now faces even fiercer competition, with new teams, new figures, and on the horizon, the possibility of losing her MVP throne to the acclaimed Caitlin Clark. The tension only grows, and the approaching season promises to be a true trial by fire. If Kate Martin is about to redefine the game in Golden State, imagine what will happen when the new dynamics put Wilson's reign in check next season. Let's be straightforward. Kate Martin isn't just another random name in the Golden State Valkyries roster. She's the missing piece to give identity to a rookie but ambitious franchise. It's as if the Valkyries were telling the world, "We've arrived and we're not here to play around." The fan base, even before the team officially steps on court, is already gigantic. Now, with Martin officially on the roster, there's a feeling that finally there's a face that personifies the team's combative spirit. It doesn't matter if she was underestimated before. Here, she'll be treated as a fundamental piece, receiving the responsibility of leading the team into an era of achievements. While the Valkyries builds its identity around Kate Martin, other established teams feel the impact. And when we talk about impact, we can't ignore the pressure on Aja Wilson, who sees the siege gradually closing in. Can you imagine the scene? The current WNBA MVP used to dominating the boards, now observing the movement of pieces emerging on the board. On one side, the expansion brought a franchise willing to shake up structures, and Kate Martin is just the tip of the iceberg. On the other, there's the Indiana Fever, a team that has been carefully preparing and, by all indications, won't spare efforts to climb to the top. For Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces, the approaching season won't be just another routine challenge. This time, the threat comes from all sides. Besides traditional rivals, there's a freshness of emerging talents and an invisible pressure that hovers over her ability to stay at the top of the game. And the element that adds extra spice to this story is the name many believe to be her biggest future MVP contender, Caitlin Clark. As if the fervor around Martin wasn't enough, the mere mention of Clark makes any attentive fan feel that the next season will be explosive. If Wilson already feels the impact of expansion movements, wait until we explore what Indiana Fever is plotting for next season. A team that promises to give no rest to anyone. Behind the scenes shows an Indiana Fever that, even having lost some pieces in the expansion draft, is far from falling behind. Quite the contrary. It seems they're adjusting the gears to create a truly formidable team. The Fever is gathering dedicated players, bold strategies, and above all, a hunger for victory not seen in a long time. The idea is clear. If there's a time to act, it's now. Each season, the WNBA gains more attention, and with the arrival of new teams and talents, staying still is the worst option. The possibility of Fever returning to the spotlight isn't ruled out. If the Valkyries represents the new breath of fresh air and Kate Martin is its face, the Fever represents tradition reinventing itself. While Wilson and the Aces need to deal with uncertainties, Indiana Fever moves forward decisively, showing that the next season doesn't belong to any team in isolation. With Fever reorganizing and the Valkyries emerging, the threatening figure of Caitlin Clark appears. Can this new talent really take the MVP crown from A'ja Wilson? Conversations about who will be the next big name in the WNBA are getting more intense, and one name that doesn't leave fans' mouths is Caitlin Clark. Considered a prodigy, she's in the sights of everyone who follows women's basketball. If, on one hand, Kate Martin's arrival at the Valkyries is already a movement capable of shaking structures, imagine what Clark's definitive entry into the league might provoke. It's hard not to wonder, could she be the one to dethrone A'ja Wilson? Clark combines offensive aggressiveness, court vision, and a magnetic personality that instantly attracts fans. In a scenario where new teams like the Valkyries gain space, where Fever strengthens itself, and where Kate Martin resurges as a fundamental piece, Clark's presence would be the final ingredient in this explosive cocktail. Everything indicates that the coming season will be the stage for a true chess game, where every move will count, and each player could alter the course of history. If the central figures start to gain defined contours, what can we expect from the season itself when all these forces clash on court? Now think about it. We're not talking about a stagnant league. Today's WNBA is dynamic, unpredictable, and is renewing itself every season. With the arrival of the Golden State Valkyries and the inclusion of Kate Martin in the roster, it's already clear that 2025 will be a year of profound transformations. And this isn't limited to the Valkyries. Indiana Fever is ready to make up for lost time. The Las Vegas Aces will have to defend their honor and their MVP star, and Caitlin Clark, though only projected on the horizon, already casts a shadow over the competition's future. Fans can expect tight confrontations, strategic trades, and intense political games behind the scenes. The MVP fight won't be just an isolated confrontation between a few players anymore. Now there are more candidates emerging, more franchises wanting space, more tactics being developed. It's a historic moment where each team must be prepared for any surprise. If we can already see a season full of twists, wait until the moment when all these forces collide on court, materializing speculations and into real and unforgettable matches. With all this in mind, the question that hangs in the air is simple. Who will emerge stronger when the dust settles? Will Kate Martin fulfill her role and become the inspiring face of the Golden State Valkyries, justifying the initial excitement? Will Indiana Fever finally find its way back to the top, surprising teams that considered themselves consolidated? And what about A'ja Wilson? Will she be able to maintain her MVP position in the face of so many new and old threats, with Caitlin Clark emerging as a phenomenon ready to take the spotlight? The definitive answer will only come when the season starts and the game happens inside the four lines. Meanwhile, we have no other option but to follow each movement, each transfer, each rumor, and each statement, anxiously awaiting the time when the courts will once again receive these warriors in full form. The future of the WNBA is at stake, and the world of women's basketball has never been so exciting. Subscribe to the channel and don't miss our next video.